What's going on, guys? My name's Rohan, and on this channel we cover all things data related, and today we're going to be going over what the difference is between a data warehouse, a data lake, and a data mart. So before we really understand those three terms, we need to understand what cloud storage actually is. And cloud storage is basically a service model in which data is maintained, managed, and backed up remotely, and made available to users typically over a network, and that being the internet in this case. It's basically like renting a storage unit on the internet and just accessing it whenever you want. And you probably use this in your day-to-day life, whether it be your iCloud, whether it be Google Docs. So think about it. You can make a Google Docs on your Gmail account, do it in the US, go to India and access that same Google Doc. That is a cloud provider. In that case, it's Google. So the largest cloud storage solutions to date in the market are AWS, which is Amazon Web Services, GCP, Google Cloud Provider, and Microsoft Azure. And these are the largest. I think they are the number 1, 2, and 3. I don't think there's anything really competing with them right now. And some of the benefits it's extremely cost effective. You don't actually need to buy physical server space in your house like traditional businesses did. So let me give you an example here. Let's say you owned an e-commerce company and one day you just have thousands of customers. You just went mega viral, you're ultra successful, and you just don't have the storage space to support this and your site crashes. It's kind of like how with Instagram, their site crashed when Justin Bieber joined on. So the benefit of actually having cloud storage is it's elastic, like a rubber band. The more customers you have, the larger storage space you'll have, the more you'll pay, and vice versa. The less customers you have, the less you'll pay in server space. So it really changes with the scale of your business, and that's why I have the point scalability here. And lastly, I have agility. These are so simple to access. They're all in a console on AWS, GCP, and the resources are literally one click away. So it's extremely simple to use. So today we're going to be focusing on 3 different types: the data warehouse, the data lake, and the data mart. The data warehouse, you need to think about like a big digital library where a business keeps all of its important data. It's the key point here, it's well organized so you can easily find and analyze the information you need while making decisions. This is typically what data analysts and business analysts and product managers use. They won't really touch data lakes and data marts. The data lake, on the other hand, is basically like a large pool where all kinds of data, such as documents, pictures, videos, even streaming data, are all stored in the original format. So you can kind of dip into this pool and use whatever data you need, whenever you need it, especially for big projects that involved a ton of different types of data. And lastly, we're going to be going over data marts. It's basically like having a small specialized section in a large library, in this case, a data warehouse, for each department in a company. So for example, the marketing team, the finance team, maybe even an engineering team have their own little libraries, which are just a subset of a data warehouse. So how are these actually similar? So the first point is they store a lot of data, and I mean a lot of data. So think of all 3 of these as just large digital storage spaces, and they're used to store a huge amount of information, kind of just how warehouses in the real world use to store lots of goods. So think of like Amazon warehouse. Next up, the main goal of all of these is help drive data-driven decision-making. Why are we spending billions of dollars storing data? Just to drive decision-making. You need to be more data-driven. So these systems help businesses make better decisions. They do it by keeping all the important information in one place. So it's very easy to just look at the information, understand what it actually means for the business through a dashboard. And lastly, you can collect tons of different types of data. All 3 systems are designed to gather and keep data for many different places. So for example, they can collect sales figures, customer information, product details, and it all just comes together in one spot. Very convenient to use. And it just makes it easier for business to look at their data and find out like what the important things are and how they're actually doing it at a high level. So what is a data warehouse? This is a little image of it. A data warehouse is a centralized system used for storing, organizing, and analyzing large amounts of structured business data. So what does this mean in simple terms? Think about a big library with a ton of different books. In this case, the books the data are just carefully organized and just very easy to find. It's really good for reports and understanding like very long-term trends. Businesses typically use this to look at past data and to make future decision-making. And some of the key characteristics here are centralized data. This is how everything's centralized. It's consolidating from multiple different data sources. So in this case, we have the CRM data, the billing data, the ERP data, the flat files, and all these other like small different data sources that we ETL, for those of you who don't know, extract. You extract the data here, you transform it so it fits here, and then you load it into the data warehouse. So ETL stands for extract, transform, and load. And the key here is it's extremely structured. So it's optimized for like a data analyst, such as myself, to go and access it and make like simple analysis for our clients. And lastly, I just touched on it, designed for analysis, ideal for complex querying and reporting. So think about you're able to touch on all these different data sources in one simple SQL query. That saves a ton of time as a data analyst. So that's kind of the main use case here. And you kind of build upon this with reporting tools, maybe like Power BI, Tableau, analytics, and data mining. Okay, next, what is a data lake? You need to think of this as like a giant box of toys. And you just throw a ton of your toys into it. It doesn't matter what your toys are. It could be puzzles, it could be action figures, Barbie dolls, whatever. So in this case, you're throwing videos, pictures, text, and you don't really worry about organizing it. You'll wait for someone else to organize it for you. In this case, maybe your parents. So a data lake is a vast pool of raw data where data is just stored in its native format until needed. It's designed to just store a mix of structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data at scale. That's the key here. And we can see this image, it might be a little hard to see, but different data sources all go into the data lake and stored in the most rudimentary form, which is binary, zeros and ones. Some of the key characteristics here is very diverse for data storage. You can store different various types, such as text, images, audio, and video. Extremely scalable, as we touched upon with cloud solutions. That's why I brought it up before. It scales with the demand needs. And lastly, flexibility. Keep a bunch of different data in its raw format, allowing for varied and dynamic uses. So an example I like to bring up here is think of YouTube, think of Twitch, any type of streaming service. You can literally store the streaming data at scale in a data lake. And this typically won't be touched by data analyst or business analyst. It's very complex. So if you're like a data scientist or ML engineer, maybe you have the more skills to actually play around with this data in its very unstructured format. So lastly, what is a data mart? A data mart is basically like having a personal closet for your department's data. It basically has what your team needs and just makes things really quick and easy to find. So think of it as like a smaller, more focused version of a data warehouse, and it's designed to meet specific needs of a particular group within the organization, which could be the marketing department, finance department, it doesn't really matter. And some of the key characteristics here is it's very targeted data storage, relevant to a specific business area, efficiency and speed, and ease of use. And let me give you an example here. Let's say you're on the YouTube team as a data analyst. Do you want to pull up the billions of rows of data from the general data warehouse? Or would you want something from specifically the marketing team where you're data analyst on for YouTube? It saves so much time to just access marketing data, right? So the data mart is just a tiny subset. So look at this image right here. This is a data mart, this is the data warehouse, and just a tiny subset. And what I want to point out here is data marts can pull directly from the data source too. So it can be like a waterfall effect from data warehouse, and you can also pull it from these buckets right here, which are the data sources. They are very simple and more user-friendly. These can actually be used for primary users. You'll see very non-technical stakeholders using data marts as well. So let's bring it all together. Businesses can have one, they can have all, they can just have two. It doesn't really matter. You need to think of all these like a team. Each member will have its own special job, but they really work best when they work together. So this helps businesses understand and use its data in like basically the best way possible. And the one thing I want you to take away is the goal is the same. They just have different roles. Data warehouse is like a library with well-organized books. A data lake is a huge storage room where everything's kept in boxes without any organization, waiting to be sorted. And data marts are just small stores that only are meant for specific teams' needs. And the end goal here is these businesses use all three in order to get the complete picture. So these help businesses make really good decision making. So if you got any value out of this video, I'd appreciate a lot if you leave a like to help support this channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.